The Indie Writers Club podcast is sponsored by Pro Writing Aid. Pro Writing Aid has been my go-to tool for revising and refining my writing since my first book. Built by writers for writers, it's more than just a grammar and spell checker. Pro Writing Aid helps you enhance your story's pacing, plot, characters, settings, and more. It can even provide on-demand developmental feedback on your entire manuscript with its new manuscript analysis and virtual beta reader tools. Get ahead of the competition by heading to prowritingaid.com, sign up for free or use the code IWC15 for a 15% discount off annual subscriptions.
It's the Indie Writers Club with Cara Clare and James Blatch. A place to relax, chat, learn and vent about life as an independent author. Get episode alerts and links at indiewritersclub.com. Now, here's Cara and James.
Hello and welcome to the Indie Writers Club. I'm James Blatch.
And I am Cara Clare. Hello, James Blatch.
Hello, Cara Clare. You're looking very pretty today in your sparkly...
Oh, thank you. I thought I'd make an effort for you, sparkly. That's actually a clue that I'm feeling quite tired and run down. The more sparkly I am on the outside is the more slightly tired I'm feeling.
I remember that. If you're looking very sparkly coming towards me, I'll give you a chair or something.
Yeah, thank you.
Sit down for a bit. Hey, do you know what? We're coming up to conference season very quickly, aren't we? So we've got, I've got NINC in September, which I missed last year and I missed it so much. I mean, I'm not sure... From a teaching point of view, every conference and SBS, I think, we've had 2 years. We had a not great year in 24, to be honest. I mean, we knew that. And in terms of teaching and what happened, and then we made up for it this year where we really curated it properly and it got really good. And that does happen. There is a cycle to them. I think I've been to NINCs where you walked away and think, I didn't learn that much. And other NINCs which have been fantastic. So hopefully it'll be a good one this year. But I never leave NINC without enjoying it and making new friends and making contacts. It seems to be a conference conducive to you making long-lasting friends.
Oh, you're giving me FOMO.
Sorry. Are you a member of NINC?
I am a member of NINC, yes, I am. But I think this year is just because of the the foot, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to be possible for me this year. But next year, 100% I'm going next year.
Yeah, let's manifest that.
Yeah.
And then it's Vegas, which you're also not going to.
I'm also not going to Vegas, no. I'm not going to Vegas next year either.
No. Okay. Well, ahead of Vegas, so Vinci Books are sponsoring, one of the sponsors this year, Vegas, and we are doing 2 live training events. And the first one is next Wednesday. And let's just try and give you a time. If you're in America,
what is the training on?
The training is going to be on book packaging. So it's going to be on genre selection at the beginning and then dovetailing everything correctly after that and how important that is to make sure that Swiss cheese model works. So we're going to go through that. It's actually at midnight UK time, lucky for me, on the 6th of August, Wednesday, the 6th of August, the next Wednesday. So I think it's 6 p.m. Central Time or something like that. But it's...
okay.
Yeah, it's midnight UK time. So would that be 6 p.m? There'd be 6 hours behind us. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that makes sense. So 5 p.m, I guess, in New York. And no, 7. Oh, God, I can't guess. Yeah, no, 7 p.m. in New York. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 7 p.m. in New York. 6 p.m. in Chicago. And something like 4 p.m. in oh no.
I feel like you should just let people work this out for themselves.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Yeah, 4 p.m. in LA. Oh my goodness, but do double check.
I really love you and I would love to support you, but I'm not staying up till midnight to attend that
I don't blame
webinar.
You. But I will set up a link if you would like to go and register for that. So if you go to indiewritersclub.com/webinar, webinar, that will forward to the Author Nation sign-up page. And it's actually a Zoom call, so you go on to it and you can ask questions. We're going to make it as interactive as possible, and I'm really enjoying doing the presentation for that, so hopefully
fabulous.
That'll be good. Should we talk about our writing?
I can do if you want. I haven't been doing much, to be honest. I'm still ghostwriting, so my main focus is is finishing off that, and it's the last book, hopefully, that I'm doing for them. And I've been managing my translations still. I'm trying to do the French ones. I released the Italian ones about 10 days ago, and I got my first negative review that criticised the translation, which is interesting. So I think we mentioned when we did the translations episode that Scribe Shadow defaults to the most recent AI that's been released. So I didn't realise till after I'd done the Italian ones that it had defaulted to ChatGPT instead of Claude, which was what I used for my Spanish ones. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. It also could have just been one person's opinion, because all the other reviews that I'm getting are 4 and 5 stars. So my average is 4.2 still. So I'm not going to let 1 2-star review that said there were some translation errors that ruined the enjoyment of the story.
Okay, yeah, I would
I'm not going to let that affect me. Like, as long as I'd already decided to be quite pragmatic about it, and I'd already said to myself that as long as I was getting 3.5 stars average, if they were making money, I would leave them, because for me this is a minimum viable product thing. But I'm obviously going to monitor it, and if more roll in that starts criticizing it, then I need to ask some questions. But at the moment, that financially they're doing really well. All the other reviews have been 4 or 5 stars, so it's just 1 at the moment.
Yeah, it's a low sample size. It's like somebody, a 1-star review saying something specific is wrong with your book. You ignore it until it's a repeated mention in reviews, and then you probably should look at it. But I mean, I do find the weirdest comments on my French adverts. The weirdest comments. I mean,
I've been getting really weird ones on my Italian ones. The Spanish ones are all for the spicy books. Like, they are like, somebody said to me, they're selling like churros. So the Spanish love them. Italy, it's very polarized. I'm either getting people saying, why do all romance books these days have so much spice in? I was going to read these until I realized that they had erotic scenes, or people saying they love it. So, but the Italian comments have been quite strange compared to what I'm used to.
The Italian lover boys. Yeah. I mean, isn't it the country of love, Italy?
I mean, allegedly.
I suppose France as well.
Yeah, but there's still, I'm spending £10 a day on my Facebook ads, we're going to talk about Facebook ads today. I'm spending £10 a day on my Facebook ads, and I'm making 45 in Italy. So that's a return that I'm pretty happy with.
It's amazing how well the spicy stuff's going. You're doing better than I am. I mean, the thriller stuff's gone really well in Germany, and I'm sort of break-even, making small profit in France. Haven't made a profit yet in Holland. Still, what's the other one? Italy. I'm just starting to do my Italy translations. But I've only got 2 books.
Bear in mind, though, that I've got 9. Yeah, I've got a 9-book series, and I released them all at once. So I'm making the money on the read through because I'm releasing them all at the same time in one language. But still, and that's the same conversion rate as for my Spanish ads. So pretty happy with that.
Okay, we are going to talk about Facebook ads in a minute. Well, I'll just update you on my writing position as well, because this morning I finished the rewrite of Dark Flight. Now, I've sort of had some false dawns on this, but the false dawn really was doing the Pro Writing Aid manuscript critique, which I used, and that did flag up stuff that I couldn't ignore. Because I'd introduced all these new storylines, and then there were specific references to them just sort of disappearing, coming out of nowhere and disappearing, which wasn't a great reader experience, weren't properly resolved with characters, and a few stuff within that. So I thought this is all fair enough. So it's taken me a few weeks to go through that and rewrite, and then and write new stuff so that they stretch longer towards the end, and we have interactions between all the characters at various points. And then this morning I got to the end of that, having done some planning and done some writing. And I'm writing every day, so I'm getting some of it done every day, usually about 30-40 minutes in the morning is about it, though. And then so I finished it, and I put it back into the manuscript critique tool slightly nervously. But actually it was great. There were a few small things that I immediately, like you said the other week, actually, a lot of these things are simple fixes. If something sort of comes out of nowhere, you can do a bit of foreshadowing, or you can mention it in a couple of sentences at an early stage. Or you can add one conversation between characters, which helps to explain the father issue that he has later and stuff like that. It doesn't require huge amounts. That's what I had this morning. And the red, there was a couple of red bits, but they were things I was entirely happy with. And it will flag up as an AI. It will flag up some stuff that you've done kind of deliberately as a reader experience. It doesn't quite, perhaps a bit too subtle for the AI to work out. So I made those final changes, and now I'm onto the bit that I actually quite like, although I've got 100 odd chapters of copy and pasting a chapter at a time back into PWA and just doing the grammar, spelling, punctuation.
So you do it a chapter at a time, do you? You don't do the whole manuscript?
I'm doing it. I used to do more of a manuscript, but because I'm now writing in vellum, which we talked about the other week, which, by the way, I absolutely love. It just kind of lends itself to copy and pasting a chapter at a time. If I do more than one chapter, I've then got to work out, hang on, where's that chapter, and then copy it, paste it back in. To take a backup of my vellum file before I duplicate it and park it somewhere before I start this process of copy and pasting. But I prefer this method. It's just if I can do 10 a day, that's 10 days to get it done. I've hopefully perhaps do a bit more than that, but I've done 5 today.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm so excited. And then the next thing is...
Yeah, you've seen it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I am going to go back to book 4, which is the Spy, 1970 spy book. And Tom Donnelly, who we mentioned from time to time, was a guest on this podcast, one of our only 2 guests we've had. I had a catch-up call with Tom, who's such a lovely guy and has worked in Hollywood and just thinks story. I mean, he's such a great guy to talk to about story, why things work, why they don't. Because he's at the sharp end in Hollywood in those pitch meetings. There's no room to hide. He's heard it all. He's seen it all. And he wrote a really brilliant novel, which I've read recently. And he said to me, talk it through, because I said I'm getting a little bit stuck on that story. He said, well, let's do it. Let's talk it through. So he's offered me this basically, and it will be like an hour chat to go through the story as I see it, and him to help me fix it and come up with.
I mean, I really feel like we should record that as a bonus episode.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
That would be amazing if you would be up for people hearing it like that.
Yeah, there'd be lots of spoilers if you're intending to read my thrilling spy novel. But,
there would be.
That's a really good idea. I'm sure Tom would do that. I mean, we're going to see each other next 2 months, I guess, in Nink.
Yeah.
We could even do it live there, but I want to do it before then. I want to get going on this. I need more product, Cara Claire. So you've got 9 books. There's that multiplier. I can work really hard and make £5,000 or £6,000 a year on 2 books, effectively 2 novels. I want to work that hard and make £40,000-50,000 a year.
Exactly, because the work is kind of the same. Like,
I
know the actual the actual writing of the book. Obviously, you've got to write more and edit more and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of your marketing, it's kind of the same amount of work. When you've got more books, you might have to have Facebook ads for your first in series for multiple series, but essentially it's not that much more work, but your returns are just exponentially higher because you've got more places for people to go. And the translations have definitely changed my mindset, or given me the motivation, I think, not changed my mindset, but given me the motivation to really push to get a couple of series that are lying around unfinished actually finished and out there. Because as soon as they're finished and out there, 3-book series times by how many languages, it's just more and more and more income. You need to make time for your writing, though. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, I do need more time for my writing. Have you ventured outside of Europe yet, like some Asian languages? I mean, I can't remember what's there on Scribe Shadow. Which is Mandarin?
Yeah, I don't think there is. I don't think it is. There is. They have European Spanish, and then they have South American Spanish. But I don't think they have any other languages yet. They haven't branched into like Japanese or, other languages like that, which I would definitely, I think, do Japanese. But I think some of the other countries, it would depend on how well you'd actually be able to advertise to them. Because obviously if you can't push via Facebook ads or Amazon ads, then you've got no way of reaching that audience. So I'm going to hold fire on any other languages.
How do you publish your book in European and South American Spanish? And
I don't know. It's an interesting question, because I don't think that comes up as an option on on Amazon on KDP when you're uploading it. So I don't know. But at the moment, I'm going to do French, and then I'm going to hold fire a little bit, just because obviously I'm increasing my ad spend because I've now got all these different languages. So I need to wait a little bit for my actual, increased royalties to drop into my account before I add any more and then increase it. And I also need to try and play with, whether I can scale up those ads, because at the moment I'm just spending £10 per language, but I'd like to see if I can push that a little bit, because that money in Spain is keeping me around 200, 300 in the store in Spain. So if I could push it a little bit higher, it would be nice to see if it will push the book higher. But we shall see.
Yeah, it's great. It's been the revelation this year, I think, on the AI front, the translations. I mean, the writing side of it, someone sent me a link this week to someone they suspected was an AI writer, the number of books going up. And I looked at them, and disappointingly, there are quite a few good reviews. And they weren't terribly ranking, and that worries me that translation has come on quite quickly, very quickly, really. From I wouldn't trust it, and I wouldn't send an email translated that to you can actually put your book out there, and almost nobody comments on the quality of the translation, i.e. it's fine. Are we getting to are we quickly getting to the point where people are putting books out there that are indistinguishable from human written books? And I know there'll be some people listening.
We probably are, but I think we've got to bear in mind that we're doing this because we love it. We're doing it because we love writing books. And we all know from how hard we have to work to sell our books that it's not an easy fix. It's not like, okay, great, I've got an AI to churn out 10 good books for me. Fantastic, easy money. You've still got to work to sell them. And I think it just goes alongside what we've been talking about this whole, even before AI became a thing, which is working on your brand, working on your whole overall, your newsletter, interacting with your readers, all of that kind of thing. So I think we've just got to hold on to that. And there probably will be a wave of more and more and more books coming out, but there's already more books than anybody could ever read. So
yes, there's over 1 million a year get uploaded to Amazon apparently. So
yeah,
which is a lot. Okay, all right. Well, let's talk about Facebook ads. I mean, they have throughout the rumors of their death are greatly exaggerated. They remain the stock in trade for self-published authors, I think, alongside Amazon ads. I'll probably put them equally, but it's an incredibly powerful platform, and it's one that allows you in the past to really pinpoint your audience. But things have changed over the last couple of years. They've the iOS stuff, which doesn't pass back the information as readily as often, the general clampdown on privacy means that they don't really know who their audience is in that sense anymore, but they do know about their behaviors because they see their behaviors all the time. Mm-hmm. Factor into that, Facebook is becoming an older person's, I don't mean old, but not a teenage, not a young 20s thing. I have to ask my daughter actually whether I know she's got a Facebook account, how often she looks at it. Mm-hmm. But if you include Instagram, of course, in that you capture them as well. But it does mean, I think, as a platform, Cara, that we're using it quite differently from how we used it 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think definitely the demographic has changed. If I think about how I personally use Facebook, it's almost like an author LinkedIn. Like I use it really primarily to connect with my author friends and friends from, all over the world. If it wasn't for that author community, I don't know if I'd be on there. My friends who are my age, like in their, mid to late 30s, don't really use it the way that we used to. It's not like my feed is flooded with friends uploading pictures of their kids and stuff. It's those people are all very much on Instagram. So I think for me, when we were at the retreat, I was one of the people saying, no, Facebook ads are absolutely dead for me. They haven't worked for a long time. And a lot of people said that. But I do feel like there's been a shift recently, because even before I started my translations and started ads for those, I had started playing around with ads again for the UK, and they were starting to convert. Whereas previously, I would say for the last 12 months, every ad that I've tried has made absolutely no dent in my income. And personally, I think that's because Facebook is getting better at pushing out to Instagram as well, because that's where my readership is. And I'm getting way more likes, comments, interaction, follows on Instagram than I am on Facebook itself. So I think that's been the shift for me that's made it start being profitable again.
Are you using it in a different way in terms of your selection of the criteria, the targeting, the imagery, etc., the creative?
So I had, over the past year, I had tried all sorts of different combinations because I'd heard people suggesting that you choose quite a broad thing. So you tell it, okay, I'm interested in people who like romance novels, but you don't drill down any further than that. So you're just kind of giving it like a general direction. I've heard people say, nope, still go through and select your targeting really specifically. I'd heard people say, nope, just try the absolute, AI, let Facebook decide your audience. I'd tried all of them, and I'd also tried telling it to only advertise to Instagram, because within the Meta, they call it the Meta Ads Manager now. It's not Facebook ads.
Yeah.
There is a way, if you drill down and you find in one of these little selection bits, you can actually force it to only advertise to Instagram. But that didn't work either. It just sent my clicks sky high. So I think what's made the difference for me is the actual image that I'm using, because historically most people have said best practice with Facebook ads for books is actually not necessarily to show a book cover. It's generally been you pick an image that kind of represents your book. So for me, it might be like a moody fantasy looking castle, or, a fantasy throne or a crown or something. And then you might put a quote on top of it that says spiciest paranormal romance I've ever read, something like that. Historically, those always used to work pretty well for me, but they just weren't. So I am now using a really beautiful image of my books that I had taken by a proper professional photographer. I sent my books on a little mini photo shoot, and she's amazing. She puts props in the background that go with your books. I can send you some so you can put them in the email that goes out this week for people if you want. So I think that's what's made the difference, because it's an Instagram worthy image. It is the sort of image that you would see coming up on an Instagram post in a very natural way. So I really think that that's the difference, because my copy is the same as I've been using before. And I have tried the advanced targeting before, and the only thing I've changed is this image. So I think that's what's made it profitable for me.
Yeah. Well, that very much backs up what Meta said to me when we went there 2 years ago, I think, or just over a year and a half ago, probably now. Actually, no, sorry, it might have been last summer. It might have been about this time last summer. And we went there, and they basically said that forget targeting. Anything you knew about targeting, forget. Let Facebook find your audience. Your metric that you change, your targeting, is your creative. So you adjust your creative, and that's what signals to Facebook or to Meta where it's going to find your audience. One thing I will throw in is that, I run ads for my books, but I also run ads for Hello Books to attract readers. And I went through a period of adjusting them every week. So I'd go to the Hello Books ads, I'd look at them, I'd download all the data, I'd look at how many actual sign-ups we got, not just clicks and not just people who went and signed up, but were they valid emails, all the rest of it. So you got down to this figure, and actually, you start off thinking you got 7p clicks, but actually it's like £1.20 per email, and then actually it's about £3.40 per valid email once you've taken the unsubs into account. It suddenly gets but that's the truth of it. That's what you get down to. But I left them for a few weeks, partly deliberately, partly just because everything else got in the way, and they started working better. And that's interesting to me, that I think Facebook now takes longer to get to where it needs to be, doesn't particularly respond to you tinkering like we used to do quite a lot of tinkering on it, but leaving campaigns in place, and gradually Facebook gets more and more information about that campaign, what's working for it, where the clicks are, what sort of person, based on those behaviors that we don't get to access, that it knows about but we don't get to select.
I completely agree with that from what I've seen with mine. This is really hard for me as a, in strength speak, number one activator. And historically as well, it did used to be the case a couple of years ago that you could start spending £10 a day and instantly you'd be like, yep, I can see they're converting. My royalties are going up. Fantastic. But I honestly think now you need to say, okay, I'm going to spend X amount a day for a month. I'm willing to lose that money. This is an investment in marketing. This is a test. This is how much I'm going to spend, and then leave them. And I know how hard it is. But I think if you change your mindset from, expecting a return on your money straight away to go. The same thing as when you invest in a BookBub or when you invest in paid promos. If you have your budget in mind and you go, okay, this month £200 is my budget and I am willing to lose that money if this doesn't convert because I'm testing, it kind of changes your mindset on it, and you're more willing to just let it do its thing. And I definitely agree. And again, this is anecdotal. Like it's very hard to break this down because we don't have an accurate way of tracking exactly what sales come from our ads. So everything has to be from us kind of taking an eagle eye view and seeing what the landscape looks like. But definitely, I think mine have taken probably about 2 weeks to sink in and really start getting traction.
Yeah. I mean, there's some techniques you can. The Hello Books thing, the great thing about that is we can track exactly whether someone's signed up or not, but that's not how we sell books. We send people to our Amazon product page most of the time. Some people direct sell, you can do this, but one thing you can do, and this is something we were trying at Vinci Books on the advertising side of the business, is to put a landing page between the advert and Amazon, make it look great and as frictionless as possible. You will lose some numbers because we know that every step in the digital journey is another sort of resistant point, and some numbers will fall away. But the information you get from that, because the key thing is you've got pixels everywhere, so you're getting information back. The campaign itself is getting information back, and it knows who's clicking, and so that's going to be very helpful for it. So you can do that, but it's got to be a really simple, really elegant landing page. If you see an advert for a Vinci book author, click on it and have a look at the landing page there for your secrets behind the scenes. I will ask about placements. What I do, which is to restrict your placements to just the newsfeed, turn everything else off. Now, doing that's quite difficult now because of Facebook, like all these things, it hides it, and you've got to hover your mouse over the right place and open up that dialogue to say, no, not Advantage Plus placements, which is everywhere, but just where you want it. Now, I do that because I've had the best results from that over the years, but that does go slightly counter to the general feeling we're getting from Facebook, from Meta, is that it's good at knowing where your advert's going to work. Although I suppose what it could be doing is getting clicks and not conversions elsewhere.
Yeah, I think as well, there's an element of Facebook is going to be choosing to push ads more if you're just going with their automatic targeting. And if you are going with their AI features, because I tried one of their, because they now have a thing that will create your images for you. You can upload one image and Facebook will then create loads. I think it was about 20 different variations of AI images that look similar to the one that you used. And those were getting crazy cheap clicks, but they didn't convert for me. Right. But I think with the placement thing, maybe think about your audience and who your readership is. Because if your readership is hanging out on Facebook, that might work really well for you. But if your audience is hanging out on Instagram, then obviously that's restricting it to the Facebook newsfeed probably isn't a good idea. And just from my own experience, when I tried to force it to Instagram, that didn't work for me either.
That's interesting, because you'd think that would work with you, wouldn't you? You'd spend all this money
it didn't.
Where your audience are.
What they did, you used to be able to boost a reel within the Instagram app really easily. And they always used to convert really, really well for me. I was doing that for a long time rather than Facebook ads. I was just boosting reels. But they've now totally changed it because they kind of want you to be using the Meta ads platform. Mm-hmm. So you now have to preload. If you want to do it from within the app, you have to preload it with cash, with you have to pay with Apple Pay or whatever, and preload it with, say, £500. And I just don't feel comfortable with preloading it with money for Facebook or Meta to go and spend how they want. And they're obviously trying to push you away from doing it as a boosting thing rather than using the Meta ads platform.
I'm selling a bike on Meta at the moment on Facebook Marketplace, and I did boost that for
did
25 quid.
I wondered why that was coming up on my feed.
Yeah. Did it?
No. Yeah, it did.
Oh, did it? Yeah.
No, it did. Yeah, it did. I don't know why, because I'm not your target audience.
I know you can exclude your friends from it, and I thought, well, I've got quite a few cycling friends, so I didn't want to do that. But actually, I've had loads of messages from my friends saying, "Oh, sold your bike. Times are hard. Selling your bike. Yeah, I'm selling my bike because it sits on the wall and doesn't get ridden, and I just run. I'm running all the time. So I've ridden it twice since I bought it last year. So,
Ooh.
and I will talk about this in another episode. I need a proper TikTok background, because I said the other week I wanted to start doing the kind of, author related posts that we've talked about, but this background is not right for it. An air conditioning unit and if you're watching on YouTube, and a Vulcan picture. I do have a bookcase and I need to do some rearranging here. Another reason for selling my bike, but we'll talk about that later. Another episode.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I think Facebook ads, my main feeling at the moment is that the unfortunate thing is that you used to kind of have a methodology that would work for pretty much anyone. Like, we could all follow the same methodology for setting up and running Facebook ads. And there definitely was a best practice that we all followed, and it worked pretty consistently. But I think at the moment we're in a period of flux where we're just having to test, and you could talk to 10 different people and everyone has got a different method of getting their ads to work at the moment. And I think that's the difficulty. But I do genuinely feel like things are changing and starting to convert again. But also we need to remember that we're not in the days of, 4 or 5p clicks anymore, even 10 or 11p clicks. We're kind of, they are going to be more expensive than they used to be.
Yeah, although the Hello Books, I am getting 7p clicks in America on those.
I am actually, mine have now settled at 7p for my UK ones. Italy is 3 pence, and wow. Spain has been running a month now and has stabilised at 4 pence. But I think that kind of demonstrates, though, the competition in those territories is so much less than the competition that we've got in the UK and the US. Yeah,
that's interesting. We had a long conversation because our Facebook Ads for Authors course was written in 2015 originally, and it really was, this is how you should be doing it. Turn that off and turn this on. And then we updated it over the years with stuff. But last year we did a complete rewrite of it, and long conversations into the night about how we would teach authors to use Facebook. And actually what we had to do is to teach them how to use the platform, where everything is, and pull back a little bit on saying this is the best way of doing it, because I'm still a great believer in testing about stuff. I mean, different things are going to work for different people. You do need to understand the platform. You do need to understand the time involved, as we've talked about on this podcast. I think that's a really good takeaway for people, is that you do need to invest some money and leave it and allow Facebook to work. A bit like walking into a casino in Vegas, which you won't be in November, and thinking, I'm going to spend $100 here and I expect to lose it. You kind of, you get your fun out of it in the casino. What you get in Meta, you get information out of that this is either working or it's not working. And then your next tranche of money is the money that you're going to spend on hopefully positioning your book in front of the right readers. But yes,
I completely agree.
It is a changing environment, but it does feel to me like we've come out of a bit of a wilderness period for Facebook ads. It's lasted probably from March last year to summer this year. Feels like that to me. So let's fingers crossed think that Facebook is doing something, who knows what, behind the scenes to do with AI that's allowing it to find audience.
I completely agree. And I think the biggest thing we can do, like you said, is work on our creative, work on testing those images and your copy. And in case anybody didn't know, a great trick for seeing what's working is if you know that there are authors who are running Facebook ads, you can, if you go to their author page, their official author page, there's a bit that says something, I think it's phrased something like page transparency. And if you click on that, you can see the ads that they're running. You get a overview of their ad library, so you can actually look at people, and it's there, it's like fully transparent for everybody to see.
What the ads library you're talking about?
Yes. So if you go to an author, if you went to my author page and you click on page transparency, it will show you the Cara Clare ads that are running, and the images that I'm using and what copy I'm using. So that's a good way to go about things if you want to get an idea. But I think my main advice with copy is usually kind of try to use language that your readers are used to seeing in an organic setting. That's what's working for me, because my readership is younger and they want kind of things that are coming up on Instagram and stuff like that organically. So I try to use that same kind of language that I would use on TikTok or in an Instagram post, to just make it feel
certainly
authentic.
People who advertise on TikTok, other stuff, not books, they do. Every one of those adverts is desperate to look like an organic post. In fact, if I hear it once, you hear it a million times during the day, some bloke holding some widget saying, now a lot of people are asking me, and I'm thinking, and I always say, nobody's asking me. Nobody's asked you this question.
Everyone's been asking me what my perfume is. No, they haven't.
Yeah, exactly. How I clean my windscreens. Well, I do it this little gadget. Nobody asked you that. But anyway, but that's, it looks like a casual, and it just takes you a second to realise it's an ad. But I'm not, I'm annoyed by them, but I'm not mocking them, because these are people who understand what works. And yes, that's a good tip. I would say I'd be cautious, particularly using different placements of your advert being ambiguous at all. So I think clarity is important. You get clicks. I used to get a lot of clicks when I took the book pack off the ads, which we all did like a couple of years ago. You got more clicks. Videos get more clicks, but less conversions. Videos,
because they don't know what it is. I always make sure to put in. Yeah, I don't use the words reverse harem, because Facebook can be funny about that. So that's just a tip for anyone who is writing reverse harem. But I will say something like 5 fated mates, so it's obvious that there's 5 of them. And I will say things like supernatural romance series or best spicy book. Like, I try to get the word book in there somewhere, and keywords, because you're especially now, you're telling Facebook what this is, and you're telling it, like, you've got to bear in mind the keywords that you're using, because even if you're thinking in terms of tropes, it's going to know what readers are interacting with, especially in romance, because people interact in such huge groups. It will kind of know what things people are interacting with and what things people look at. So try to focus on getting those keywords in there, but in a kind of organic way, so it doesn't just look like you're boringly going, this book has these tropes, buy it, please.
Yes, indeed. Okay, look, that's been our little discussion on Facebook. It's not really a teaching session, but just sort of where we are with it at the moment. And we could potentially do something more detailed, like we did with translations last week, on Facebook ads in the future. That requires a bit of planning and some PDF drawing up. Okay, that is it for this week. So I'm going to be live on the Author Nation webinar on Wednesday, indiewritersclub.com/webinar. We'll get you to register if you'd like to join us for that. A bit late in the UK, but probably just about the perfect time if you're in the US. So I'm on my local radio station in the evening talking about our cricket club, and I thought, it's going to be a busy old evening, isn't it? I might have to try and have a line in the morning.
And we've got our appearance in Cambridge next week, haven't we?
Oh, we have.
Which
yes,
I had forgotten about, and now I have not forgotten about it. Yeah.
That is the night before. That's a very good point. Yeah, the night before, we are Cambridge Writers Club. I think Cambridge Writers Talk. Have you got the address or the location?
Have I? No.
Yes, no.
You're picking me up.
I'll put it in the email that goes out on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to be a busy couple of nights.
It is. We don't know what we're talking about yet.
No, we're talking about us, darling, our favourite subject.
Oh, okay. Do you know what my mum said to me? She's going to hate me for saying this, because she listens to the podcast every week. She said, are you taking any books? And I said, no, I haven't got any printed books anyway. And she was like, well, I suppose the only ones you could really take would be your Poppy Pennington ones, because that's my sweet, clean women's fiction. And I was like, no, people buy spicy books.
Yeah.
They do buy them.
I'm
not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of my spice.
Your books. Who was showing me some of the illustrations you see just walking around at the rom-con thing?
Yeah, you know what I find weird is when people take their some authors take their kids with them to be like their assistants and things, and there's like quite a lot of with the spicy authors, some of the stuff that's going around.
What was the big rom-con in the Excel Centre just after? Rare. I think that must have been adults only, because some of the pictures she showed me of the boards behind the stories were...
and the readers are like full on. I've had to perfect my penis drawings, because I get asked at pretty much every one to draw instead of my signature. And the first time I got asked, I legitimately had a mind blank, and I was like, I don't think I know what one looks like.
You don't know? All right, okay, look.
I just had a complete blank at the time, so I had to scroll back through the book and copy someone else's picture.
May have reached the end of this discussion, but thank you very much for that image. You're trying to remember what a penis looks like.
You're welcome. Not as good as when Adam Beswick was made to draw one, because he went with me to a romance signing for our pen name. He will also hate me for telling this story, and they made him draw one. Yeah.
I hope he knows.
There is evidence on video somewhere.
Yeah. Good. Well, it's been lovely catching up with you. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you next week on the live webinar. I'll see you on Tuesday night. And until then, we say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Support the podcast and get exclusive access by joining our Patreon. From just $1 an episode, you'll be invited to our Discord server, where the weekly discussion continues every day. And our 2 top tiers include a monthly live Q&A with James and Cara. Head to indiewritersclub.com/support. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share. We'll see you next Friday.
The Indie Writers Club podcast is sponsored by Pro Writing Aid. Built by writers for writers, Pro Writing Aid doesn't just check spelling and grammar. It helps you enhance your story's pacing, plot, characters, settings and more. Now it can even provide on-demand developmental feedback on your entire manuscript with its manuscript analysis and virtual beta reader tools. Give your writing a competitive advantage by heading to prowritingaid.com. You can also sign up for free or use the code IWC15 for a 15% discount off annual subscriptions.